Hello, my name is Masumi Rostad, and this is my practice room. This is my space to work, think, and learn. Sorry, could you hold on a second, please? Okay, what now? We've already come to a very important decision moment. Should I warm up? And is it really necessary? In this video, we're going to discuss warming up, the pros and cons, and I'll tell you what I've come to do, and I can guide you through my process. And please don't worry, if you aren't a violist, I won't tell anyone. Hey everybody, this is May in Rochester. Let's figure out a good warm-up. Hi everyone! Today we're going to explore the idea of musicians' warm-ups and if they're really necessary. We've all been told to warm up and about how important warming up is. We've all been assigned routines like stretches, whole notes, scales, etudes, and various other little exercises. A big potential issue is to mix up warming up with exercises in your thinking. You have to think about what you're trying to do. The problem is a scale or an etude can be used as a warm-up or an exercise or both. You have to think about what you're trying to achieve with your efforts. I've spent the last 20 years on the road actively and often frantically touring. As a result, I've come to think of warming up very differently now. Sometimes I just had to unpack my fiddle case and walk out on stage to play a concert because of an incredible traffic jam or a delayed flight or something like that. And I survived. So here comes a very possibly outrageous idea. You might not need to go through that incredible routine you've been putting yourself through just to get ready for a practice session. If you Google it, you'll find that warming up for athletes is actually a rather controversial topic. Some say absolutely necessary, some say absolutely unnecessary, and others say, maybe. Somehow I was both totally surprised and totally unsurprised to learn that. We take the idea of warming up as a given, and I think that can lead to problems. You have to be conscious in avoiding mindless playing. We've all had those experiences where you're playing through a concerto in a practice session and you start thinking about your lunch or your taxes, and suddenly you realize you've just played 3 pages and you can't remember playing a single note. Or, worse yet, you feel obligated to warm up. So you end up staring at the clock, thinking that you're being a good and studious musician, and you spend the next 30 minutes doing absolutely nothing. So, here's my take on all of this. First, let's assume that you're physically warm enough to play. If you aren't, go run up and down some stairs, go run around the block, or do whatever it takes. Okay, now when you've got some blood flowing decently through your veins, try to take a seat and totally change gears and try to establish some mental quiet. Okay, when was the last time you thought about the fact that you have a left pinky toe? or a right knee. My point is, it's very easy to forget that you have a physical being. We take our body for granted. And can you see how that might lead to problems with your practice? So, take a deep breath. Now, as you're sitting there in your quiet calm, feel the fullness of your experience as a physical being, listening to your breathing. Do your best to develop deep sensitivity to what your body is telling you. You can slowly work through, way down from your toes, all the way up to your scalp. Beyond that, I would offer that warming up should be relative to your intended intensity goals in performance. Consider your initial approach to your practice session as a resetting of your exertion parameters. You're going to play very differently if you've just been moving very heavy boxes versus softly petting your cat. You really don't want to pound grooves into your fingerboard without realizing it. It just isn't generally advisable to whip the fiddle out first thing in the morning and just lay into some intensely demanding fast passage work. That said, it isn't entirely impossible if you're able to establish mind-body connection right from the very first notes. Don't be fooled by the ease of youth. Just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should. Some days you just wake up feeling groggy and can't shake a fog. On those days, you might really need to go through the tedious process of very slow warm-up in order to be able to get yourself ready to play. Or your time might be best served by studying a score instead. On other days, you might feel great from the very first note, so why do a one-size-fits-all routine? It all boils down to this. Check in with yourself before you start playing and make a commitment to playing with intention. Then do whatever it takes for you to be able to play with flow. We're all different, so your job is to experiment and learn what works for you. You have to learn you in the practice room. Thanks for watching. I'm really curious to learn what your routines are and if they work for you. So please write down in the comments below, and thanks for watching.